Hey, hi everybody. Welcome to Mental Wellness Today presents Recovery Blog with Bill MacPhee. Hi, I'm your host, Bill MacPhee, and today we have an exciting program for you. I have a guest here, Dan Silver. And before I introduce Dan, just want to let you know that this blog comes to you on a regular basis. Today is October the 28th, 2014, and this is our recovery blog. As if you don't know me, I was hospitalized 6 different times, lived in 3 different group homes, had a suicide attempt, and actually today consider myself a recovery expert. I'm very stable. I have a good quality of life. I'm married. I have 3 children, and our business, Mental Wellness Today, or MacPhee Media, which we publish as Z Magazine and as Z in the U.S., and Anchor, a depression magazine, as well as DVDs and books. And I'm here again with Dan Silver, and Dan is a social worker and a mental health educator. Dan, I've known for quite a while. Actually, when I was affiliated in a group home called Gateway, I think Dan was part of that program at that time, or when I was on the board, or something like that. But anyways, I'm going to introduce Dan. So Dan, say hello to the folks, and why don't you give us a little bit of your background and what you'd like to cover today?
Sure. Well, first of all, Bill, thanks for the invitation. And yes, we have known each other for quite some time, and we're sort of neighbors. We only live a few kilometers away from each other out here in the wilderness in Fort Erie. I am a registered social worker and a mental health educator, and I come by way of being the little brother of a person who suffered from a terrible and debilitating case of paranoid schizophrenia. And I would say, although I'm only 50 years old, I began to gather my experience at the age of 9. It gives me about 41 years experience. And to be honest with you, I can't imagine that I would have selected this field had I not had the opportunity and the privilege to be a part of my brother's life. And unfortunately, his death. To make a long story short, he suffered terribly, and the family witnessed what he went through, which affected me. He lived until he was 37 years old. He was diagnosed when he was 19. He had his first psychotic break at university, and that was in 1973. And he died in a medium security forensic unit for the criminally insane in St. Thomas, Ontario in 1993. And that's when I made my decision that I was going to change my occupation, and I was going to put my efforts into educating families.
Right. Let me stop you there, Dan. Let me stop you there, and just want to just mention to a lot of times when I speak to family groups, and I'm sure you speak to family groups and things like that. And even though this is a very tragic, and mental illness is a hard illness to go through, a lot of people find purpose in their life, and they find direction or meaning in their life by helping other people in the area and in this field through a personal experience in their own time. And so, I know that mental illness is a terrible thing, and it's a cruel illness. Schizophrenia is a cruel illness, but myself and many other people find purpose in life by trying to help and educate. So I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm just pointing out that through tragedy, we get our direction, and can turn our lives around, and make it and do it for good.
I
So,
I totally agree with that. And if I wasn't happy doing what I'm doing, then I wouldn't be doing it. As an educator, let me back up a little bit. When I made the decision to change careers at the age of 29, I went back to school and earned a degree in social work with a pure focus on mental health. And of course, there were other requirements, but all of my efforts went into now understanding the academic and the clinical side of mental health, with my focus on schizophrenia, mood and anxiety disorders. And over the years, it's changed. A couple of years after that, it was in 1996 when I was in my second job as a frontline social worker. An opportunity came up with 5 other families in Niagara to start an organization called the Family Support Network of Niagara. And the Family Support Network is a collection of, it began as a collection of 5 family members who themselves all worked in the field of mental health, all had family members that were ill, and were struggling themselves in order to provide good quality care. And what we wondered was, how in the world are all those other people dealing with the issues, trying to find good quality care for their relatives, taking care of themselves, if this is brand new to them and they don't work in the field, because we're struggling ourselves. So through a small grant supported through Canadian Mental Health Association to the Ministry of Health Ontario, we were granted $15,000, and that's grown today in 2014 to $24,000. And what, by the way, the local United Way of Niagara Falls and Greater Fort Erie has also kicked in a nice little piece to help us as well. What we began doing was running 4-week groups, which grew to a 12-week group in the larger center, and many. I think we now have 7 4-week groups that each run 3 times a year. So we run an awful lot of groups in Niagara, and the focus of these groups is to educate families about the illnesses, to teach families about the supports and services that are available in the community so that they can help themselves when they need help, so that they can get their relative to the services that they can benefit from when they're ready and willing to go.
Right.
And finally, self-care for the caregiver. So when the family members are able to do these things for themselves, they can pass this information along.
Absolutely. I was going to say, Dan, you talk about the self-care for the family member, the people who are dealing with family members with mental illness. And I know that in my Brave Future program, part of that thing with family is that it's very important that if you're looking after somebody or you're responsible for somebody, that you have to take care of yourself too. And what I coined this as is the flight stewardess pitch, where whenever you're taking a flight in a plane, they say that if there's a loss of pressure, the mask is going to drop down, and put it on yourself. The mask on yourself first, so you can get oxygen, and then help other people after you help yourself with that mask. And so that's so important that the stewardess, the oxygen mask on first, is so important in mental health area, because burnout is very, very prevalent and can come quickly and easily. So talk a little bit about that, Dan.
Sure. Well, family members get sick themselves, and they get sick because they love so much. They want their relatives to be well, they want their families to be intact, and they want their families to move into the future celebrating holidays, celebrating great occasions. And when one member or more than one member is very ill, that pattern of success breaks down. So the types of things that we encourage families to do is to understand that their body is a system that needs to be well managed. When you think about it, let me tell you, the question I always ask is, what is the most powerful tool on the planet Earth? And the answer is the human mind. We all have one, but nobody ever got a user's manual. When I was a little baby, my mother, who by the way was a wonderful clinical social worker, and never thought I'd do what my mother does, but I do. She never took a manual and put it under my arm like that and said, Danny, follow this manual and you'll be healthy for the rest of your life. Well, I didn't get one then, but she, aside from being a wonderful mother, I like to pass that little tidbit along to people, that there are some plain common sense things that we can do for ourselves, because our bodies are organic systems and they will break down quickly if we don't take care of them. So little things like drinking enough water, knowing that smoking cigarettes is bad for you, but if it's the only vice you have, then go ahead. Knowing that a little bit of exercise is good for you, that learning how to manage our thinking patterns are important, that factory farms put a lot of chemicals into the food we eat, so let's be very careful about what goes into our blood and circulates to our brain and affects our thinking. That that volunteering in the community is good for us, because then we get out, we socialize, we talk to people, and we form new relationships, and it gives us a wider group of people to select friends from. We go on, and these messages that we remind family members of are messages that they will more effectively incorporate into their lives, and that they'll be able to model for their ill family member. Because I know that I'm digressing a bit here, but recovery happens a lot more often than most people are aware, and the family members who are struggling to have quality of life returned to their ill family members, they, through stress, oftentimes have that hope blocked. And so we want to return that degree, that significant degree of hope to them. Because let me give you another example. I love examples, just like Bill does. You ever watch a motivational speaker that just sends tingles down the back of your neck and your spine? Well, when we really believe something, then we're able to deliver the message in a powerful way that can motivate others. And so taking care of ourselves is one of the things that that we can pass along.
Earlier you're talking about, the physical health and the examples you gave, and then mental health, and we've got to really realize that it's not all about physical health, and it's not all about mental health. It's that combination. They work hand in hand, and that's why, it's all one big piece. Everything goes together with everything. There's no just like everything else. There's no real absolutes, or you exercise. I mean, exercise is good for you, but with all the exercising in the world, it's not going to help you if you have a chemical imbalance, and need medication and everything like that. So they go hand in hand, mental and physical, and it's different for everybody. And so then you're talking about hope, and that. Tell us some of the things, some of the success stories that you've seen or throughout the years dealing with a lot of people, whether it be in family or individually, or talk a little bit about that, and a little bit about your philosophy of recovery, and because that's what we're about here, the recovery blog. And as most people, if they tuned in, follow me, realize that my definition of recovery is when you wouldn't want to be anybody else but who you are today. And that's not only for people with mental illness, but that's for everybody in society.
That is for everybody in society. And Bill, I repeat that message all the time in front of my groups. I see recovery happen all the time. Of course, I've seen some tragic mishaps, too many of them, but I see recovery happen all the time. Examples of recovery include people who find the right balance after 20 tries or after 2 tries, the right balance of medication with food, with exercise, with being more selective about the friends that they choose, about how life improves when they get good quality housing and when they find something to volunteer at. I see recovery happen when people get back to work, and whether that work be part-time or full-time. I see recovery when people have an honest opportunity to reflect on their own lives and to adjust their expectations of their own life in such a way as they're not comparing themselves to the next door neighbors. You know the scenario, we're always competing with the Joneses or the Smiths. And this is not just an issue for people who have had or have a serious mental illness. This is an issue for your everyday regular Joe or Jolene that has a job, whether that job be in a factory or whether it be in a medical office or whether that person be an accountant. The amount that I talk about mental health is it's sometimes I sometimes worry about myself because I'm constantly promoting. I am self-employed, and I'm always out, giving my speech. I'm always out giving my speech, whether I'm at the YMCA and I'm hanging my flyers, or I'm going to doctor's offices between appointments, and speaking with the secretaries, I'm always delivering the message that hi, my name's Dan. I'm a mental health social worker and educator, and here's a copy of my flyer. These are the flyers that I deliver on a regular basis for our organization. And as you've heard from Bill and so many other people, as soon as you start talking about it, the individual you're talking to usually has a story, and they're usually willing to talk to you in return about their own personal experience.
And speaking of that, you're talking about, everybody has an experience. Talk a little bit about you've been in social, you've been in the mental health field for many, many, many years. What are some of the things that you think that have improved, or some of the trends from way back when you're starting years ago until today? What changes are there that you sense, that you hear?
Well, I've seen, I had this conversation just 2 nights ago with a colleague. I've seen a lot of improvement. Be honest with you, when I was a little boy, through the eyes of a babe, watching what my brother went through, it was like a nightmare. It was like a living nightmare, and that was only in the early 70s. But I do remember some genuine, kind people that weren't in the mental health field at that time. And so some of the changes that I've seen amongst young people, especially young people, I'm talking public school and high school age children and youth, I see that they have a much greater understanding of mental illness and a much greater sensitivity for those people that are around them. When I was a kid, I think that it was awfully harsh. Um, I've also seen um, the number of people that are going into the profession increase because of their own personal motivation. I've also seen, and I hope that nobody holds this one against me, I've seen a lot of very, very competent professionals who have college diplomas. They don't necessarily have to have master's degrees. Dr. Amador, who's on your board, I believe,
Yes.
is somebody that I can point to his philosophy and say to you that the quality of the relationship, which he speaks in great detail about, is bang on. I've seen some people with little education, great dedication, with the ability to foster quality relationships and motivate, as I described earlier, motivate an individual in order to do the things that they need to do in order to begin to get well, to do it for somebody else, if even when they weren't yet willing to do it for themselves. I see so many qualified people out there having conversations with others that I didn't see 20 years ago or
So
40 years ago.
So then, would this be under the heading of stigma? Is this talking about stigma kind of thing, or because I know you talk about a lot of improvements, but you've seen, and but there's still a lot of stigma. Is what you're talking about there stigma, or stigma different than what you were just talking about now? Can you answer that for me?
Yeah, it's definitely stigma, but in the words of a local colleague of mine, George, he said to me recently, about a year ago, he said, Dan, let's stop playing softball. Let's play hardball. It's not stigma, it's discrimination. And so stigma and discrimination is a continuum. I agree with George. And, speaking of that, just a couple of nights ago, or last Wednesday, we had a doctor come from the Ontario Human Rights Commission and speak in St. Catharines, and it was about discrimination in the workplace to do with people who have mental health and substance abuse issues. And so the continuum, stigma to discrimination, it's very real. And so I think that because people are talking more about it now, that it's help that things are working to get better. But I want to caution you, the viewer, to something that I've had to come to terms with. and that's that good things take time, and that what we're looking for in the uh, say the quality of treatment and the opportunities that become available for our loved ones with mental health issues, it takes time. If we go back 40, 50 years, we can look at that and say, boy, wasn't that barbaric?
Yeah.
And if we go ahead 50 years in time, they're going to look back at 2014 and they're going to go, oh boy, wasn't that barbaric in 2014?
I tell a lot of people, I mean, is that really, the field of psychiatry, the field of is relatively just a very new field. I mean, psychiatry's only been around, not a whole lot, a long time, and so it's a real early field compared to a lot of other fields in that. Well, I'd like to bring you. Dan didn't know I was going to bring this up, but Dan was actually I don't know what, 2 years ago, Dan, or something. Maybe it might be three now. But you were in China, actually, teaching in China, English as a second language. You brought your family over there with you in that. But just we talk about mental illness here in the NOG region or in North America. Did you see a lot of mentally ill people in China, and what was the environment there? I'm just interested in that. So talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I can tell you, I've been fortunate to travel. I have spent some time overseas. I spent a year in Israel in 1990, and I spent 2 years in northeast China, where it's very cold. A few years ago, my wife and I went, and I taught finance, real estate, and investment, and we were at a really good university that was partnering with a Canadian university, and the students wanted to know about the West, so they became quite friendly with us, and they took us out and about and downtown, taught us how to use the transit. And what I saw there, as well as I spent 4 months in Indonesia and a month in Thailand, what I saw was that people with mental health issues, they're disposable, really. Families are afraid to talk about it. That's what all of our students have been telling us, and the homeless population is sick, on the streets, hidden, thrown in jail, and it's a nightmare. It really is. I saw some extremely entrepreneurial, mentally ill individuals on the street, just finding ways to make enough money to feed themselves, and I was just amazed at their entrepreneurialism, truly. But yeah, I don't. What else? What else can I say? It's a different world than here.
Yeah.
Something else that I have difficulty. I talk about it, even though I have difficulty. I have to be very careful how I introduce the topics in groups and in my individual practice. But I really do believe that it that that it's going to take centuries for us to get the type of understanding and mental health care that we want for our relatives. And in saying that, I believe that our country and several other countries in the world have such a luxury in comparison to the rest of the world. Now, it's not good enough, and we are working hard to make it even better. And it's a hard topic to introduce when your family member is so ill that they're suicidal, that they're at risk of dying because of an accident, because their health is so bad that they're just going to get into an accident, hit by a car, beat up on the streets, extremely poor nutrition, developing physical health issues that at some point will become irreversible. And so when I look around the world, I say, how fortunate are we? But we must remain vigilant, and we must continue to promote. And I want to give yet another comparison, which I think speaks to the hope that I have, the hope for a positive future, an even better future. And that's that individuals with developmental disabilities 100 years ago were probably in a similar situation to our loved ones with mental health issues now. And the level of supports that are now available for individuals with physical and intellectual disabilities is something that we have to look forward to. It's coming, and but we can't give up.
Right. In these last, we're going to wrap up in the next few minutes here, but Dan, is there anything you'd like to add, or you want to give another pitch for your organization or your own personal counseling sessions and that? And again, I just want to let you know that if you want to get in touch with Dan, just email me at bmcphee@magpiemegs.com, and we can forward your questions, or if you have any interest in reaching Dan, feel free to do that. Just email me at bmcphee@magpiemegs.com, and I'll forward that to Dan. So, anything, Dan, in
Sure.
wrapping up here, any words of wisdom, anything profound? Or
Well, I think I do have some profound things to say, but we'd have to keep going and going and going. We can't do that now. So let me give you my contact information, and let me tell you just briefly a little bit about what I do to earn my living, because I am self-employed. And so when people pay me, that's how I feed my own children. Okay, and I've got 4. There are 2 businesses where I derive my income. One is, as I mentioned earlier, the Family Support Network of Niagara, and we offer groups that are free of charge to individuals in the region. And you can get in contact with me by writing to dan@familysupportniagara.com or calling 905-894-6808, and I can put you in touch with I can register you for our groups. The other is I'm an individual counselor. I have 2 offices that I work out of part-time, and I also do house calls. And the reason that I do house calls is because oftentimes a lot of people who want the help, they're afraid to go out, or because they're so ill at the time, they're just not organized enough in order to get out on a regular basis, in order to get out to get to where they need to go. They might not even have the transportation. So if if their family has an insurance plan that can help pay for it, or their family can assist them with money, or if they have money, then I can go, because of course I have to earn a living too. Sometimes I feel shameful about having to say that. But you can contact me again. The number for the private work is 905-933-340. Yeah, here it is on my flyer. 905-933-3406, and that's can be found on the web at www.familyeducationgroup.com. I had something profound on my lips just a moment ago, and it slipped me. So call. I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Very good. Well, thanks, Dan, for coming on the blog today.
Sure.
Thanks, everybody. And listen, if you want to tell your friends about this blog, to subscribe to it and that. And again, my name's Bill MacPhee, and I have a book as well. I'll do a plug. It's A Cry of Dry Tears, my latest book, and it's Bill MacPhee's Recovery Journey and Journey of Hope, Recovery with Schizophrenia. So basically, again, tune in, tell your friends to subscribe to this channel, and remember, recovery is when you wouldn't want to be anybody else but who you are today. And remember, there is life after mental illness. Have a great day. Bye-bye.